Hello, my name is Nikita King, and I did my assignment over Pathway to Healing and Counseling Services. The informed consent was a three-part description of what to expect. Was in the first section, went over what to expect and the client's rights and services. It also discussed the limits of confidentiality. The next section down went over communication and the benefits and risk of being in counseling services. The last section went over Pathway's agreement with that client, whether that be the rules and regulations of services and making sure you follow through. How does this compare to ACA Code of Ethics requirement for ethical informed consent? So the first section, ACA section A2A, requirement that the client was given the relevant information to make an informed decision to enter into services. So this document did meet that need because in the beginning, it gave them all of the information that they needed to make that decision, to make that informed decision. However, it did not discuss how to terminate services with Pathway to Healing Counseling Services, so I think that they were lacking some information within their documentation. The next section does follow the ACA section A2B. This section did inform the client of the risk of being in services. It was clear, it was in bold writing. You've seen that it said risk, so had keywords that they utilized. So that was displayed where the client could see. ACA's A2C accessibility, that the document was worded where the client could read it. There was no issues with reading the documentation. It was clear, it was precise, it was in words that any individual would be able to read. So it wasn't big medical words. It was in words that an individual could read with normal abilities. A2 section ACA's A2D, inability to give consent, was not displayed within this documentation. ACA's section A2E, mandating clients, was also not discussed within this documentation. I'm thinking that it wasn't discussed within this documentation because most of the time, as I read through the document, the document was for private pay clients, so that might have been the reason why this wasn't mandating, because these were private pay clients. So I did read the requirements for State Board of Indiana. I did the code that was discussing mental health providers should display their credentials within their documentation. They should also make sure that clients understand the risk for being in services. And also what should be displayed is the ability to withdraw consent for treatment at any time. That was not displayed within this documentation that I read over Pathway to Healing Counseling Services for Indiana. So that document was not clear. The information should be always done in layman's terms. I quote Patient Counseling and Consent by Janisha Gupta. That information should be placed in layman's terms. The consent is provided to clients and should be able to be read by clients so that they can make an informed decision to enter into services with a company. That is my assignment.